after 15 defeats in the Premier League and 19 losses all over the season, Ange's future is in doubt, according to reports. And also, the return of so-called the Don that's now could be cooking at Tottenham Hotspur. And then also there's some transfer news as well for Tottenham made their a very good prospect who's in a team that could get relegated this season. Could be their top target this season. A very special player, so-called. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, this is your boy, Mr. Box Office from Mr. Box Office TV, back with another back with another show for you today. And this is a show where we're talking about Ange's future's looking in doubt. We even said that a couple of years, well, start of the season, wouldn't you? Well, it's just how it's so surprising how things have changed. We're back here again after a long absence on Mr. Box Office TV, and so happens now we're all now seeing the rumors are very getting high and very wrapping up on the manager from after the Fulham game when we lost our 15th game of the Premier League this season. It was told by some of the reports that they are still wanting Ange to be successful this season, still want to keep Ange as manager for next season. But as the weeks have gone on during this long international break, which has been a holiday for Mr. Box Office, so called, so he can bench as you see the muscles growing. You're now seeing there's reports now that Ange is now becoming, his future is becoming in doubt. And now there are rumors of other top, well, up and coming managers are going to be in the frame for the new job for Tottenham Hotspur next season, even if we win Europa League. So welcome to Mr. Box Office City for the first time for quite a while now. And we're here to discuss the news today. Like I said before, with the news that is ramping up with Ange's job becoming more unsettled as the days go by. And with a returning director of football that has a lot of plaudits, but also a lot of controversy as well. We'll get into that later on, and that's it. But to start the show, welcome everybody. Thank you for waiting. Like lateness is greatness. And we're going to get straight into it with the news today. With the first news, Ange's future is in doubt at Tottenham Hotspur. And it links to what we want to discuss, what's happened just recently. Tottenham have said there have been reports that they're going to look over, assess Ange's tenure at Tottenham over the last season or so, and there was very much doubts whether he will be at Tottenham, whether he will stay at, whether he'll be still at Tottenham in the next season or so, especially with the bad record that Tottenham, his record during this season has not been very good at all. With the amount of losses that he's had, the football hasn't been great. It's not just the football that's not been great. It's been also his in-game management and also his in-game tactics have not been desired very well by fans like myself. And the fans are turning on him. You can see, and the pressure's getting on Ange. as you saw with some of the fans that were having a go at him. He's not backwards from coming forward. He will have a go at the fans, like he's done before. You saw the viral video that went out. It was kind of a highlight of when he started. He was the guy that everyone loved. He was like that enigma. He was happy. He was given the one-liners. His press conferences were something to look forward to, unlike our predecessors with, who we were talking about. The last one, there was a one with Nuno, who ironically now is doing well at Nottingham Forest at the moment. But it looked like a great idea to have Ange bringing him from Celtic, especially with his glowing reference from Celtic fans after his great achievements at Celtic. And with what he's achieved at Celtic, he thought he could bring it to Tottenham, especially the brand of football. But as the seasons have gone on, especially with the second part of the season after the first 10 games, and now this season with 2 games a week, you're seeing the faults coming really to the floor with Tottenham, and the results have not been great. And as I said, with the stats, with the facts, it don't look good for Ange at all. And that's it for me. It's highlighted with what's gone on with the results, with the fact that Ange is having a go at some of the players. The latest one was Basuma saying that he wasn't happy with him, which is quite ironic. The time was quite ironic with the fans turning on the Basuma and they want him out, which is a ironic thing. One midfielder that I think doesn't get the criticism that he should deserve, I will talk about later. Spoiler alert. But it's a very much a highlight of what is going on at Tottenham. Tottenham are there's lots of insecurities and a lot of things that we can't. There's there's a lot of things that Tottenham can't even get my words out here, but a lot of things that there's not that much security at Tottenham at the moment. And Tottenham are mainly in a catch-22 at the moment, where we've got a very important period of games coming up, with the Europa League coming up in the quarterfinals at Frankfurt, against Frankfurt, I mean. And then we've got the Chelsea game, which is Thursday as well, Thursday next week, which gives us a lot of time to prepare. And as we've seen in previous games, is Ange going to be able to manage 2 games a week in important games? And he will have to maybe prioritize some of the games with some of the players that we've got. How he's going to manage Romero and Van de Ven, who've had injury problems. How he's going to manage Udogie, who's had injury problems as well, who's not been great this season. How is he going to manage that midfield and manage the youngsters that we've got, like your older bear, who has got a lot of plaudits for his performances over in the during the international break. So this has been a turbulent sort of how many weeks for Tottenham, even though we've had a few wins, but we've seen the faults of the manager as well. And it's now culminated in the rumours by the Athletic, by Jack Pitbrook, putting out there that Ange is now under pressure. So what's your thoughts on that? For me, everybody knows my thoughts on Ange Postecoglou. It says it for itself. I've been proven right in that sense, and seeing that I didn't back the manager very quickly. But again, I don't want to repeat myself on that. But on the what we're seeing at the moment, are we seeing are we seeing the end? Is this the end coming for Ange Postecoglou? Is it or not? Tell me in the chat and tell me at home, and that's it. It's a big conundrum for Tottenham at the moment. Obviously, there are people out there that love Ange. There's that say that he needs time, that he needs his players. He had injuries. Now, whether or not you agree or disagree with that, it's up to you. I've got my thoughts on that. You know my thoughts on that. But there are so many aspects to this where it's a surprise to me, where now the change of the language of some of the press now are now putting the pressure on Ange that Ange's now future is in doubt now. When from 2 weeks ago, or maybe even January, there was still a lot of the press out there saying, yeah, Ange is definitely safe. He, they can see that he's been struggling, with the injuries, and now, we're going to give him time. We're going to give him. We're going to back him, and this is only a bad patch, and we need to stick with him. We don't have any plans to change. This is the plan. But is it because of the fact that Ange now is it because of a certain director of football that has come in, that may be coming in, who's touted to go to AC Milan? Is it now the fact that it's going to be? Is it the fact that now is it going to be? I can't even get my words out at the moment. Maybe because it's so late at the moment. But bear me. But is it because of the fact of a director of football who was banned that could be coming back, him influencing the fact that this news is coming out? We'll get into that later on. My thoughts on him is quite simple. I've said it already. I would get rid of him tomorrow, and that's it for me. It's now repeating myself again. I do apologize for the people that have seen me on this show before, but for me, it's one of those things where I can't carry on with this guy. I don't see anything different to what I've seen before with this guy. For me, he's proven why I can't have him at this club. He's one of those people that I've seen enough already, especially with the fact that he saw what he saw at Manchester after Manchester, well, before the Manchester United game. That was when we had that long break. I thought we were going to change it up then, and we never changed it up. We never learned. He never learned from what his past mistakes were before, and that was where the problem was for me. He never changed. He never used some of the things that he learned from the previous games before, and he kept playing the same football that really he wanted to do before, and we were running more. And the problem is that the players were too tired, and really that was the problem in the first place. When you have 2 games a week, you're running the players into the ground. So why are you doing it again? That's what I don't understand. And these players are not as bad as what you're saying. Basuma, Bentancur, even though he's still a Juventus reject, Romero, Van der Ven, Adoji, Spence, Poro, Davis, Johnson, well, maybe Johnson, Son, Solanke. You know, they're not bad players. They're not all bad players. So why are they performing so? And with the record that we just said, what I've just said this season, with 19 losses this season for a team like Tottenham Hotspur, not very good at all. And that's why this can't continue for me. The fact that he's not coaching, getting the best out of the players that he's got, it's not good at all. And and with that, he's having to go at players. He dug out Timo Werner, even though he backed him before. And the only reason why, for me, he's had to go at Timo Werner is because he wasn't the popular player. It was ironic, the timing of it, when he was getting a lot of people that were totally against him from some of the fan base. And it was just ironic he started having to go at Timo Werner at that time. And then the whole thing with Basuma. Maddison, I forgot to say, is not a bad player. Sarr might be just an energetic player who's just athletic, but he ain't a bad player. If you use him well, he's not a bad player. Maybe not a footballer, but not a bad player. And this is where my issue is with this manager. Again, I apologize to people that are repeating myself, but as you see, I'm trying to be. I think this is why I've not streamed for so long. It's trying to get used to and just get back to the full of it. So yeah, it was a bit of a, because when you're doing these lone streams, or lone shows, you can get away from you a little bit. So just bear in mind, it is a Friday night as well at 12:26 in the evening. So yeah, it is what it is. But we roll with the punches, like they say, every single time. But yeah, it's, to me, not. It's not the standards are pretty low, but the problem is that, are we acting as a club that know our limits and know who we are as a club and what sort of managers will be suitable for our club? And that's where we're going missing. That's why I put the poll out. Unfortunately, I couldn't put all the names in that I wanted to put in. I wanted to add Pochettino's name there as well, but I couldn't, unfortunately, add to the poll as well. But those are the four managers that I put in the poll. Who do you think is going to be manager of Tottenham Hotspur? Because moving on to the next part of the news, we have been linked with the favourite to be linked with Tottenham to take over from Ange is Andoni Areola, who today dismissed himself for the job to be Tottenham Hotspur manager maybe next season. Just saying that he's maybe summarising that he wanted to concentrate on next season, will concentrate on Bournemouth, being respectful to Bournemouth, which would be a standard sort of thing for a manager that's managing another club, not to be disrespectful to that club. But obviously, Bournemouth want to keep him and keep him for next season, to progress next season, especially if they get into Europe next season as well. But it just highlights again why I said that there are managers out there that you can get, coaches that you can get that can do similar job to Areola, a Thomas Frank, a Marco Silva, a Eddie Howe. There are loads of coaches out there in Europe that can do a good job, that can coach individually. And that's what we need. I mean, when you look at Ange's credentials, mainly his credentials in essence is just more a manager that can it coaches a team mainly, and just mainly focuses on the system and focuses on the team effort. And from what I'm seeing at the moment, mainly from what players are saying, I mean, I saw an article from, I think it was Gill, article, saw something, abstract from one of the players, um, putting their view across about Ange, and I think it was Gill, who's at, I think Seville, I think it is, who's on loan from Tottenham, and I think he's injured for the season now. And he said that he's very he's a good manager, Ange. Now, I I would say possibly, yeah. Well, maybe that is true. I think the problem is though he's not that coach that helps players individually. And that's the problem I have at the moment. From what I hear, he's very inspiring. I mean, hence why players end up coming to Tottenham, because he has had the odd word with players. Obviously, it's more publicised that he had the odd word with Tell coming to Tottenham. He had the odd word with the likes of Tell. He had the odd word with the likes of Maddison to come to Tottenham as well. So he had influence on them. Dragusin as well. So he had the odd word with some of those players, and that's the thing. It was one of those things where Ange has had a lot of influence on players coming to Tottenham, and that was looked as a very good positive for Tottenham. Very, very good positive for him being Tottenham Hotspur manager. I mean, obviously, you see the tension between both manager and Maddison now, and you see his performances haven't been very good this season. He's been up and down this season, Maddison, but mainly because he's not playing in his real position. And this has been a massive problem. Trying to adapt to other players, the fact that he's playing fullbacks at inverting, not playing to their strengths, not playing to the midfield strengths, maybe not even playing to some of the players up front strengths. And that's been a downfall this season, a negative this season. It's been this is where the doubts are coming as well. And you would say that with Ange as well, that you would start to see the fruits of his labor with him working with the players. You'll see a little bit of a few patterns going with him and the players. But as you've seen, that there's those patterns have not really materialized, and you're seeing the struggles that the team are having. Hence why you saw with what we saw with the likes of Maddison and Son on the sub bench discussing the tactics and allegedly saying, "Is he doing this again?" It's just one of those things, and that's where I can't do it. Big up to the two March show, Cookie. Big up to you. What do you think of the Burvow, Alex? Right player, wrong manager. Well, I stick to what I say, and this is what some of the criticism I got on the We Are Tottenham TV. Big up to them. I think he's okay. I've never really felt of him as anything more than that. Okay, he has some good moments, admittedly, but it hasn't got me there. It hasn't got me excited. It hasn't got me jubilated. It hasn't at all. It's just made me feel no different to what he's not as great as what I think as what people are saying. Yes, he's got good potential, definitely. Yeah, he's got great potential, but he's not the I don't think he's as good as what some people think he is. He isn't. He just isn't for me. And he's just one of those players that for me, I think for me he's not. He's just I think because we've not had a very good season this season, I think that's why people are making a big deal about our youngsters. It's one of those things where I just think it's just you can make it for what you will, but I think this is just typical what we do with Tottenham. These young players, are we are it is what it is with these young players. Young players are just they have potential. Some of them will give you that that moment and give you certain things that you're sitting there saying wow, and yeah, they've got a good future. But we've seen it before, youngsters. We've seen it before. Tanganga was one, brought through the quiz. Now at Millwall, not doing too badly, to be fair. We've had loads. I mean, it's I can't really pinpoint most of them, but yeah, it's one of those things for me. Maybe wrong manager, yeah. Maybe wrong manager, yes. Just to answer the question, I think it is definitely wrong manager, because I feel that there needs to be a coach to guide them. I think he does need some older, experienced players around him. But again, if you've heard me before, Mark, you've heard me how many times about this, and I don't want to repeat myself on that one. He needs experience next to him, and I've said that from the very get-go. Same with Archie Gray. But it's one of those things. I know they'll have an all right game against Chelsea. They'll be put as the best thing. They've got great future. Oh, this is he's got a great ceiling. You know exactly what's going to happen after Chelsea. You know exactly what's going to happen after Southampton, because they'll probably have a good game with Southampton, and we'll make a massive deal about them then. Maybe see something special. Maybe you might do, because Southampton are not a brilliant team, looking like they're going to go down. Looking like they're going to go down as well. But yeah, it's for me. Yeah, I'm not too fascinated by him. For me, the moments. I think we'll see what happens next season, next couple of seasons. Again, it takes time, and no one can really tell me whether they are going to be here next. How many years? No one can tell me that, because top players don't end up staying. They if they don't see any achievements, they end up leaving. That's it, really, for me. They end up just leaving. Just before I move on to next segment, we'll carry on the next my original conversation, my original segment on Ange and the managers that are linked with Tottenham Hotspur. Talking about managers that are linked with Tottenham Hotspur. Managers like what we talk about, Antonio Iraola, Thomas Frank, and Marco Silva. There was another manager as well that you'd say is very much on the pole as well, and his name is Oliver Glasner. Rob Frank, who's just put a question in the chat, says, how can Ange be a good manager when he doesn't have a personal relationship with his players? Well, no, listen, Rob, it's what I heard from Gil. When I think it's Gil. I think it's Gil, and he says that he's a very good manager. This is his words, not my words. And for me, I mean, him saying that, I mean, a lot of people. I mean, he's had a lot of players that love the way he play. You know, love the way that he manages. So, I mean, Brian Gill, and who's at Brian Gill, that's on loan. I think it is. I can't remember who he's on loan to, but I know he's injured at the moment. I think it's quite a bad injury that he's injured until the end of the season, unfortunately. And he said that he's a very good manager, which is surprising to me because I never really thought that he was a great. I didn't think he was a good man. I didn't. Well, looking at the way that we are playing, the way that he hasn't motivated the players, I don't know if that's the case really. But this is what I've been told. This is what Gil has said. I think allegedly anyway, but apparently anyway. Who's on loan to Girona? I think it is now. He's Girona, but he's injured at the moment until the end of the season. So it's an interesting one, really. But a lot of players that are for him say this. You know, he's very motivated. He's a good manager, which I don't. Well, you know my thoughts on the manager anyway. I don't. I want him out, but anyway, I don't want to repeat myself on that one anyway. But thank you for your questions, Rob. Big up to everybody in the chat, by the way. Big up to everybody. But yeah, for me, yeah, he needs these managers have one thing in common for me, that they're very good coaches individual. I mean, with Marco Silva, he's Marco Silva. So Marco Silva, he's got experience in the Premier League. He had his experience, obviously at Everton. Did okay at Watford. Got his move to Everton. Didn't do too well at Everton, and then he's been doing okay at Fulham. Fulham, he's been very good. He's had a few players that came from big clubs, and he's really interjet them into the team, and really made the best of the players that he's got. The fact that he uses the players like in midfield, Sandra Berg and Lukic, who I think are a great pairing. Just give me back to what it used to be like. Top teams had top midfielders. Just able to control a midfield. And then he's got in defence Anderson, who's a very good, stable defender. Very good defender. Then up front, he has. Just trying to think in my head who they have up front, but they've got a very very solid front line. With Jimenez up front, Raul Jimenez up front, and it's just a good team, and that's really set by the manager for me. Very good manager for me, and it just shows you. It shows you what just shows you what he's what credentials he's got. It just shows you. And that's it really for me. He's a good. He could be a very good option for Tottenham. Now, the way he's adapted at Fulham, it shows you his credentials for me. Whether he can manage a team doing 2 days games a week, that'll be a question mark on him. But he has won stuff. He won. I think he won in Portugal. I think it was. I think in the Portuguese league. I think he did. I need to get back. I think he won in the Portuguese league. I think it was. And yeah, he's done very well there as well. I'm just trying to get that now. Let me just get it now. Marco Silva. Where did he go? Let me see. It was in the Portuguese league, I think it was. In the Portuguese league. And with Marco Silva, it wasn't in the Portuguese league. It was he's managed Sporting, then at Olympiacos, and so previously before he went to Hull. Before he went to Hull, winning the Portuguese Cup, the Greek champions. Yeah, so it's Greek champions. So I think I was at that over Olympiacos. Then he's won. Let me just see here. Oh yeah, he won the championship, and the champion was champion second league Portugal. That's what it says here. But he's won the Portuguese Cup winners, and he's won the Greek champion. Well, it's called Greek champions. He was Greek champions with that Olympiacos. So as you see, he's won wherever he's won before as well. And obviously he had his bad spell at Everton, but he's really pulled it back he really has pulled it back at Fulham. So for me, he has the potential to do that, and it'd be interesting to see whether he will be able to come in. I mean, it's interesting. It's definitely an interesting. Well, it's definitely interesting anyway. Definitely very, very interesting. Big up to everybody in the chat. And I hope everybody's doing well. I know I sound a bit off it tonight. Yeah, I maybe am a bit off it tonight. I've got to be honest. If I'm really honest with you, it's one of those things where, and I'm going to be honest with you, it's it's very hard to fake it being a Tottenham fan at the moment. Very hard, because when you're doing these shows and trying to prepare things for it, you're sitting there and you're looking at it and you're thinking, what can I really talk about today? And you're seeing the news and you're looking at the news and you're thinking, this looks, this looks good, this looks good, this looks good. But then you're sitting there thinking, is this going to go into anything? And this is where I struggle with Tottenham at the moment, because whether you want to try and make it into a story or not, it's very, very difficult not to try and get excited or not. I think that's it for me. And whether these managers are good or not, well, these coaches are something for me that we can move forward with. I think there are other coaches out there. If Tottenham Hotspur really put their mind to it and look at them, because Brighton were able to find one. I mean, I looked at the Stuttgart manager, who is a very interesting manager. I mean, he does have up and down results, but I think it's more to do with his coaching. And when you see what Oliver Glasner's done for Crystal Palace, it's kind of an interesting one for me. But all those managers you put to a side, because when you look at when we bring it into my next segment, when you see the return of one guy that is going to be coming back, reportedly coming back, in a guy like Fabio Paratici, you're now looking at it and thinking, well, if he's coming in, you know what sort of managers he'd be looking at, and I don't think he would be one of those managers that Tottenham Hotspur that he would be interested in. I don't think he'll be interested in him at all. I think like Oliver Glasner, I don't think he'll be interested in that sort of manager whatsoever. I think he'll be. And yeah, I do need some soca music, mate. I do need some soca music, Scott. Big up to Scott, and by the way, every time. But yeah, I think with the return of the Paratici, possibly, reportedly, you can see that, he looks for different sort of managers, and he could look for someone that's more got higher credentials, because he wants, he want to get Tottenham up there, fighting for the top honours and the Champions League. Not that he couldn't get Champions League players anyway, because he did get Bentancur and Kulusevski, who are at Juventus. I mean, my thoughts on those two anyway. But but I don't see him going for someone like a Poch. I don't see him going for someone like a Marco Silva. I don't see him going for someone like I just don't see him going for those sort of managers. And I just don't see him going for a up and coming manager. Or I mean, maybe go for the former Barcelona manager, which would be interesting, with his sort of football and what sort of players he needs for his football. The former Barcelona manager, Xavier, Savvy. So I mean, it'd be interesting to see what will come out of this, really. But it's interesting I mean, I think this is more with the fact that Paratici's now coming back. he's linked to now, and I think that's what's linked now to what you're seeing right now with the fact that Ange's future's in doubt. The reports are saying that now Ange's future's in doubt because Paratici for one condition for Paratici coming back is Ange leaving, and also possibly Lange leaving as well. So the time of this is quite interesting, very interesting, and with that, what sort of coach would Paratici go for? And I think he'll go for somebody that is top. So I think he would go for an Inzaghi. I think Inzaghi would be right up his street because he's in the Italian market. He's Italian background. He's got something, he's got pedigree a little bit as well. The things that he's doing at Inter Milan at the moment. So I think he would go for somebody like that or Xavi. Whether that would happen, I don't know. But when you look at these managers that have been linked today, like your Thomas Franks, like your Marco Silvas, like your Andoni Areola. I mean, you can add Poch to that as well. I've seen people in the chat talking about Pochettino. I don't know whether he would go for these managers. Whether he would feel the need to go for it, I think he'll go for his own and his own ideas. And Daniel Levy wouldn't stand in his way. Definitely not. I mean, I look at a Thomas Frank, and Thomas Frank would be someone that could stabilize things. He could get the best out of certain players, do it for a few years, and then move it on to another. Then move on to another. We could let him go. Then we get somebody else in to bring on the team even further. We might have to sell other players with him, definitely. But it isn't. I don't know. I wouldn't know at the moment. I mean, guys, I tell you what, right now, Mr. Box Office hasn't been the same. He hasn't been the same. I've got to be honest. I think you're seeing it right now. I can try and hide it. I can try and be this. The energy's gone. The energy's gone, and I think this is where I've struggled doing streams for quite a while now. You know, the fact that this the energy's just gone completely. And whether the news today, is it energetic? Is it energizing? No, because we're still going to have I think we'll be we'll show up against Chelsea next game. What will happen? Whether we get a draw or win, I don't know. We normally lose there anyway. We'll probably beat Southampton, and then everyone's ranting and raving that we're going to be up there. And then the Frankfurt game's a very interesting game for me at the moment. So with these managers linked, like your Andoni Areolas, your Thomas Franks, your Marco Silvas, your Oliver Glasners, your Pochettinos. Are we going to really see Are we going to really see them? I mean, it's an interesting one, really, for me. And I mean, to go back on Paratici, he's got pedigree in terms of helping the structure out, bringing in Simon Davis, the youth director, bringing in Steinson, I think it was, as one of the behind the scenes staff as well, sorting out the whole scouting network. And he was very good with his deals. Yeah, his managers, his eye for managers have to be questioned, because he brought in Nuno, tried to bring in Gattuso, which that put me on high alert on him, I've got to be honest. So, you know, it's just one of those things. It's just one of those things that I don't think, you know, I don't think it's not a an easy one for me. Not an easy one for me whatsoever. For me to see, and as you see, like I said, I've got no energy at the moment. I don't know how anyone's got any energy at the moment for this. At the moment, it's a difficult one, Tottenham, at the moment. Very difficult one at the moment. I know a lot of people have got their thoughts on the whole Tottenham right now. It's a bit of a struggle to talk about Tottenham at the moment, and I know a lot of people are not in the rights. You know, they'd rather just keep away from it at the moment. I think that's what I've been doing the last how many weeks for Tottenham. I promised a lot of things, and unfortunately not delivered in that sense. But I think things hopefully will change in the next couple of weeks, whatever the results at the moment for Tottenham. But it'd be interesting to see what happens in the next couple of weeks, especially with the Europa League. And then we'll see whether these rumours heighten up and get more intense. And it'd be interesting to see how the players react, because now we've got this long break, and with the FA Cup during this weekend, which is going to be an interesting one. I don't know whether I'll be watching any of the FA Cup matches, really, to be honest with you, because Tottenham are not playing in 1 and 2. If it's a nice sunny day outside, I'll be outside, you know, doing stuff. Well, I've got things planned tomorrow anyway. But Alex has got things planned anyway. Mr. Bot's office is still purring, still would be purring to do more things online, do more shows. But it's one of those things, really, for me. Big up to everybody in the chat anyway. Big up to everybody in the chat. Thank you for the support. Thank you for sticking with Mr. Bot's office. Hopefully he'll be back soon. Hopefully it'll be back to normal soon. But I mean, like I said, I haven't been doing this for quite a while. Maybe because the energy's not really been up there, really, to be honest with you. Big up to Glenn Hoddle. Big up to you. How are you? Do you think Ange goes if he lose to Chelsea? No. He's not leaving. I don't see that at all, because they won't have a replacement. I think the person. I think if you heard this before, Glenn Hoddle, I do apologise to you, because I think I've repeated this before. I think it's going to be Ryan Mason, and I don't think that's the right person. I know people disagree with me, but not for me at all. 164 Spurs. Big up to you. Big up to you, Mark. The Mark Show. Big up to you. Big up to Scott M. Big up to you. Yeah, big up to you. Big up to you, Jeff. Big up to you, Daniel. Big up to everybody in the chat. Hello to Rob. Thank you for your comment as well. Big up to you, Terry. Right. Big up to you. Big up to Kiwi Spurs TV. Big up to you. Big up to you, Destiny 5. Big up to you all. Big up to you, Absolute 22. How many losses more will the builder Ange get? I think for me, he'll get. That's a good question. I think he'll get at least 4 other defeats, so that will make in the Premier League now, that would be 19 defeats. And then that would be 20, 21, 22, 23. So 23 defeats, which is awful. Absolutely awful for me. But big up to everybody in the chat. Big up to you, Nick Maynard. Big up to you. Big up to you all. Big up to you. Yeah, it's for me. It's. Yeah. It's as you see. I'm not being myself today. I'm not myself today. Maybe it's because it's very late, and I've got a long day ahead of me tomorrow, which is going to be enjoyable as well. I'm not watching Tottenham this weekend, and it's Mother's Day as well. Big up to all the mums. Big up to all the mums in the house. Big up to everybody. You know what I mean? Big up to mums. You know what I mean? Big up to everybody who's watching as well. Hope you're liking and subscribing. I know a lot of people who watch and you don't subscribe, and it'd be nice if you do subscribe, because even though you don't disagree with me, it'd be good to you to come in. If you want to disagree with me, that's fine. It's good to have a debate. Everyone's welcome. Everyone's welcome. That's what it's called, the main event program, for a reason. Box Office City for a reason. Everyone's welcome. But yeah, big up to everybody who's watching very late at night. Big up to you. But yeah, it's just one of those things where I think for me, just it's a long I even forgot what to say now. It's because it's getting so late. It's been difficult. I've just not been myself. I've just not been myself with this. I've been trying to do a show, and I've been planning it so long. And you plan it, and then it gets late, and then that's it, and that's what happens. But it's one of those things where the motivation and the thing's just completely gone. And yeah, just that's it for me. Doing this, really, doing the Tottenham thing. It's one of those things where you see, you feel like, what can you really get excited about? And it's interesting now. I'm seeing conversations about it being a boring league now. Conversations we've had last couple of years, and people said we're mad, and now saying, "Oh well, it's really crap. It's really bad. This league, very bad for quality," which is what we said a couple of years ago. But then people said we're being negative. It's an interesting one, really, for me. But it is a very interesting one for me. That people say now what they're saying now now with the league being very boring, because you can see now that all the league's kind of done now. The relegation, it looks quite ominous now. Who's going down? The three teams that went up: Leicester, Ipswich, and Southampton. Southampton going down, could be going down with the lowest points tally in recent times. But yeah, it's one of those things, really, that I don't know, it's just not getting excited about it. And I think it just sums it up with this player. Just segue to something right now. To this player that we're linked to. And that is Diblin from Southampton, who is quoted by the journalists that everyone talks about, the dawn of the journalists, I'll say, Fabio Romano. And he's quoted in saying that that Diblin is one of Tottenham's top targets in the summer. Now, when I've watched this kid, I see a kid that's got a lot of potential, like a Burval. I see that, but he needs a lot of coaching. He's raw. He looks very nervous as well. I think he does look a bit timid as well. Tyler Diblin, and he looks very nervous, very and and I just think I think he looks very timid, and he's got something about him. Definitely, he's like a Burval still. He's got not obviously Burval, because I think Burval's was showing a little bit more moments. I've got to be honest, but I don't know. Just he's it's a very for me, going to a team like us at the moment, he needs strong players around him to help him grow. And I think he comes to a Tottenham team that haven't got any strong characters, no strong leaders, which has been confirmed by somebody that I'm going to talk about later, who did a podcast at the beginning of the week that we're going to talk about later. So just a spoiler alert for another part of the show. And it's just interesting to see. Yeah, it's just very interesting. Very, very interesting that we're linked with him, and he's one of our top targets. Again, a youngster as well. So it shows you where we're going. I mean, we've been linked with a lot of youngsters. I think the only person that we've not been really linked with, I mean, obviously there's Cardoso from Real Betis as well, but I think is a possibility that we'll be going for next in the summer. We also could be going for someone like a Gomez. Gomez from I think it's Lille. He's on a free transfer. So it's there's a lot there, and then obviously we've got to sell players on. We've got to move players on. With rumours that you have Basuma that was linked with Aston Villa as well. But we just linked with a lot of youngsters. We're linked with somebody, I think it's Riggs from Sunderland. I think it's Sunderland. Yeah, again, I had it. I just completely forgot who we were linked, who you're playing for, and it's Angel Gomez. Big up, by the way, Ryan G. By the way, big up to you, Ryan G. Big up to you. So yeah, it's just one of those things, really. One of those things, and it's one of those things that we're doing the same things that we've done before. It's like that. It's like the whole thing with Bentancur getting a new contract, and it's just we've also been linked with Manuri as well, and Manuri, who looks a good player, to be fair. He looks a good player, by the way. And he spreads the ball out very well. I think the only thing that people have been concerned about with a Manuri is that he's got this, he's got a temper on him, and he's got attitude. But I think in some way sometimes that's a good thing to have, because we've got too many nice players at our club, which I've said before. Very nice players at our club, and I think it summed it up with the whole thing with. I think it sums it up with the fact that Spence, who did the interview with Rio Ferdinand, with his podcast, he's shown well, he with his podcast, he was, he's shown. He said, I mean, when Rio Ferdinand asked him that question about the when he's shown his, I do apologize, guys. I think it's because it's late. I've been trying to prepare for the show, and I think that's why I'm just a little bit tired tonight, guys. But hey ho, we still carry on. And what I'll do is I'll just do more shows. I think I'll just do more shows. I think that's the main thing at the moment. But big up to everybody in the chat. By the way, big up to everybody. Big up to you, Albie Mills, Mangles. Big up to you, Alex. Would you be happy to let Bentancur and Basuma go? Yes, I would. Yes, I would. Absolutely. I think there are better midfielders out there at the moment. I think Basuma is better doing what he was doing at Brighton, though, being this, up and down midfielder that he, box to box. If you do him box to box, I think you'll see the best out of him, like he was doing at Brighton. But what he's trying to make him a number 6, nah, not for me. Bentancur, my thoughts on him. I call him a Juventus reject for a reason. He's still a Juventus reject, in my opinion, because he hasn't changed. You know what I mean? Yeah. Rejects can be good. Yes, they can. But this guy's not been good at all. He's flustered to deceive. He's just not done enough for me. And this is supposed to be a Juventus pro that's won championships. So for me, there's no excuses. I'm seeing a young player who, for me, will see what he does next season, Bergval, and the following season after that. And by the way, just to remind people, if he does well, Bergval, he won't be staying at Tottenham because other people will start getting his ear and saying, do you want to come here to win things? Or be with some real players that will improve your game, or a real coach to improve your game? And he'll be off. He's got no loyalty to Tottenham. So this is why I listen to Tottenham fans saying, oh, well, you've got to be backing your team, backing your manager, backing your players. Well, talk to me about Sol Campbell. Told me to back him. But look what happened there. Told me to back Harry Kane. Yeah, he was great, but he had to leave because he wanted to go and win trophies. In the end, top players want to go off to win trophies. Difference is that Tottenham Hotspurs should have preparation for that, because if a player wants to leave, you've got to prepare the fact that you might have to have a player that's going to step up in his place. But what we do is we don't prepare for that. You don't prepare for the fact that, you might have a coach that is kind of floundering. So you've got other coaches in mind to try and save the situation and bring on the project even further. But what we do is we sack the manager and we don't have somebody in place that we scouted and thought, yeah, he'll be the guy. So we're not stuck looking for a manager, doing the interviews. We've already got that man in place, and he can start his work very soon, and he can move the project on even further. But we don't do that. We don't do that. Now, it'd be interesting to see what happens when Paratici's back in charge. By the way, just because I want Paratici back at the club doesn't mean that he's the best one, because I still say that, there were better out there. Frank Arneson was a great director of football. Obviously, what happened, what happened there. He went to Chelsea. Rest is history. Paul Mitchell was 10 times better than this guy, Paratici. He's just all mouth and all, you know what I mean? And, David Pleat was actually not that bad. Wasn't that bad compared to what we've got at the moment. He wasn't that bad. He found some good players. Very good players. A very good scout. Knew some good players. Knew some really good players, by the way. And for me, yeah. But to go into your question, into Monuri, I think he's a good player. He looks a good player for me, and a good player. Does look like a good player to me anyway. True, but his presumed basic skills has deteriorated to 8-year low. You know what, Albie? You know what? He hasn't been performing. I mean, he hasn't been performing for quite a while, to be honest with you. He's been up and down. But the manager doesn't play him right, though, for me. Doesn't play him right at all. Big up to you, Lee D. Big up to you. Yo, big up, Belts Office. Why are we buying so many youngsters? And that flange ain't the manager for Tottenham times running out for him. And I bet Spence will be targeted by many top clubs. You mark my words. Yeah, I absolutely agree because, he sounds like a guy that, for me, as soon as he gets that big offer, he'll go. I think Tottenham knew, the hierarchy knew that, so that's why they gave him a new contract. Because, I mean, he's been our best player. I mean, I think going on to segue onto this. By the way, I need to segue onto this because, for me, why are they doing an interview with him? Really, I've got to be honest. Yeah, he's playing well, but I mean, I think someone said it. sorry, people, but yeah, sorry if you heard that, but yeah, just naturally did that, unfortunately. But yeah, big up to you, Destiny 5. Thank you for that. But yeah, for me, why are you doing an interview with someone that, for me, it's only it's only been this season. Let's be honest here. It's only been this season, and he hasn't really. Yeah, he's been very good. He has done well this season. He's had a good spell this season, definitely. But I don't think it really means that he should get an interview right now. I think it's either Rio Ferdinand didn't have anybody else on to have to interview, or I don't know. For me, it just wasn't the right time for me, and I think the thing that really told, and that I'm glad that people are talking about it, is when he asked a question about leaders. Before the question was asked, he said, "Son, he's a leader that shows by example. Leader by showing good example, what way he acts on the pitch, the way he acts around the training ground, the way he acts as a player. He's just a very good. He's just very good the way that he acts around the training ground and showing the example. I say." But when he asked a question about who's the real leader, it was really bad the way that he couldn't aim anybody. He only gone to Maddison because it was like the go-to guy. That was it. But yeah, it was just it just was really embarrassing for me, and just showing you why. It's just confirmed my suspicion. Really, confirmed my suspicion straight away. No leaders in the team. But then I was told I was negative. You know what I mean? It's just one of those things anyway, but it is what it is. It is what it is, what they say, innit? That's really it for me. And it wasn't very good at all. But I mean, I don't see Romero as a leader. I think he's Romero for me. He's just been up and down for me, and his injuries well, it's been injuries this season rather than suspensions. But yeah, he divides opinion, Romero. Big up to Ryan G. Big up to Has Spurs TV, by the way. He divides opinion. Romero. And he's been linked with a move to Atletico Madrid as well. So yeah, and Real Madrid as well. Ironically, one player's gone to. He could be going to who's protracted to go to Real Madrid on a free. Alexander Arnold. But what I'll do, because it is getting very late, and I'm getting tired, and this has been a bit of a what it's showing right now that the energy's kind of zapped right now for me at the moment. We'll be back soon. We're gonna wrap up the show. So big up to everybody in the show, in the chat. We'll do a much more better show next time, hopefully soon. I think more as I was preparing for the show, I think it's tired me out, and now it's getting late, and obviously it is getting tight. It's getting late for Mr. Box Office, and now I need to get prepared for tomorrow, and hopefully be back soon. But big up to everybody in the chat. Big up to everybody that's watching. On the day that Tottenham are saying, well, the press are saying that the rumours are saying, I would say, that Ange, his time is nearly, maybe coming to an end at Tottenham, and his future's in doubt. On the day where Fabio Paratici could be returning, and that could be a bad thing for Ange. On the day where you can see in my face, why am I talking about Tottenham during the international week when I should be just enjoying my life? And on the day where we're still linked with youngsters, and I'm still not seeing any experienced players coming into the club, well, that's the same thing, isn't it? Same Tottenham, different day, like they say, like Dan from the Hotspur Hood says every single time. And as always, as we close this show, as we wrap this show up, big up to everybody in the chat. Big up to everybody watching all around the world. As we always wrap up the show like this, if you didn't know, get to know, support your boy, Mr. Box Office, subscribe and like, and come on, you Spurs. And we're out.